In this video, we're going to go over 8 GED Science questions. Now for the first one, you could be given a formula like this. A can of soda is placed in a fridge for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, what is its temperature in Fahrenheit? Now here they've given at 30 minutes, it's 13 degrees Celsius. In other words, we're just going to change C right there to 13. And then we're going to plug this in the calculator, and that's going to give us degrees Fahrenheit. So this is the calculator they'll give you. We'll start off with 13 times our fraction, 9 over 5, and plus 32, and boom. And then just use the button above Enter, convert. So 55.4, and that's the correct temperature in Fahrenheit. Another type they could give, here we're given an equation for efficiency. What is the efficiency of this bike? A cyclist puts 556 joules of energy into pedaling, but just notice that's the energy in, so the bottom number is 556. And then keep going. 210 joules, that's the energy that's output. So that's the top number, and we'll put 210 up there. So that's it. You just need to find out what to put where in the equation. So let's do it. We got 210 up top, 556 in the bottom. But notice it's times 100 here, so let's do that. We get a fraction, but let's use the button above Enter. So 37.7, rounding it up, 38%, and that's all for this one. The next type is called a cladogram. When you're given that, just find a trait, and anything above it will have that trait. So crocodiles and birds, they have eggs with shells, but nothing below it will have that trait. So let's check out the answers. Okay, primates and amphibians have amniotic eggs. Just find that. Everything above it has it. So primates, they do have that trait, they're above it. But amphibians, they're below, so they don't have that trait. So that's not true. Okay, the next one, primates evolved into rabbits. Well, that's not what this diagram shows. It doesn't show one thing evolving into the next, so that's not true. And then C, they all share the trait of 4 limbs. Let's find that. But they all have that trait, so that is true here. So that's all for cladograms. Just find your trait, find what has it, find what doesn't, and you'll be good there. The next type is a food web. The arrow just points to what eats it. So part of the tree eaten by the insect eaten by the snake, and the snake eaten by the fox, for instance. Which of the following would most likely happen if more snakes were introduced in the population? Okay, A, the insect population would increase. Now, insects are eaten by snakes. And if there's more snakes, they are going to eat more insects, so those ones will decrease here. So that's not true. B, the squirrel population will decrease. Now, once again, squirrels are eaten by snakes. More snakes, they're going to eat more squirrels, so those will decrease here. So that is true. And just to double check it, the fox population will decrease. But if there's a lot of snakes, that's a lot of food for the foxes, and that'll help them out. So that population would increase here. And definitely some changes occur, so that's out. The next type is a chemical equation. Here, carbonated water is created when carbon dioxide is combined with water. Which of the following shows the chemical reaction needed to create carbonated water? But for any chemical reaction, the ingredients are on the left side. So carbon dioxide and water, that's what we're combining, so those are on the left side here. And then the result, well, that's carbonated water, that thing's on the right side. So D, that's got the right stuff. And I'm addicted to sparkling water, so if I were to get a tattoo, it'd be this equation here. Another style is when you have to balance an equation. What coefficients will balance the left side of this equation? Now a coefficient, that's just a number in front, so let's highlight that. And that just means you have 2 of each here. So we have 2 NAs, 2 CLs, let's write that. And if you have a little 2, that also means you have 2 of those guys, so 2 hydrogens. Now we want the same amount on the left side here. So we need two H's. Let's go ahead and put a 2 in front here. And that'll give us 2 hydrogens, 2 chlorines, so we're covered on those ones. But then we just need 2 NAs. Toss a 2 in front of that guy, and now it's balanced here. 2 of everything on the left side, 2 of everything on the right side, and now it's good. The next type is a scientific experiment. Here, a sleeping pill is given in different amounts with these results. We've got 3 groups. They're given different amounts of the drug, and then the number of hours they sleep is recorded. The company claims that this pill increases your sleep. A scientist says an error exists in the setup for the groups. What would remove the error? Well, anytime you're giving a drug in different amounts, you always want to test a group that doesn't get the drug. And that's called the control group. So that's what we need here, and B has it. We want to test a 4th group who doesn't receive the pill. And that way, we can compare these to people who don't take it, and we can see whether it's effective or not. Okay, and one final type. You're developing a new cupcake recipe. You want to find out the optimal baking method. You're going to test various temperatures and times in a systematic way. What could you do to improve your experimental design? Now here we're changing the temperature and the time, but imagine if we kept the temperature the same. Then we could narrow in on the correct time faster. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to keep the temperature the same, just change the time, and that's it here. In other words, when you're given 2 variables, you want to keep one of them a constant and only change one of them. Okay, I hope this gives you a lot more confidence with these types of problems. Here's a video with 10 common GED Science questions for more practice. Let me know what questions you have, what else you want me to cover. You got these. We'll see you in the next video. Toodles.